On the dais now from the University of Connecticut, head coach Gino Auriemma. We will jump right into some questions. We'll start right here in the front.
Hey, Gino. Back in December in the Georgia Tech game, when you guys lost, I remember you said that at the time, somehow, some way, I don't have the ability at this point in time to affect my players, to make sure that we're in a better place mentally and physically, and to play the kind of basketball we need to play. Mm-hmm. How do you think back on that moment now, and do you feel like there's been growth? Was there a change in that area of being able to affect the players that you felt like you couldn't back in December?
I think coaches go through periods in their careers or during seasons when they feel like it's out of your control. That you don't have the ability to affect the changes that you want to affect, and sometimes it has to do with who the players are and what the circumstances are, who's healthy, who's not, whether they're a mature team or immature team, whether you've handled things the right way all along, and so a lot of things go into it. And I don't think anybody was in a really good state of mind going into that Georgia Tech game, and I think not having Paige was just part of it. This team needed a lot of growing up to do, and obviously I think they have, or we wouldn't be playing tomorrow night. If we had stayed the same, if we were the same team that mentally and physically that we were back then, I don't think we'd still be playing. So, and even yesterday there was a growing up moment at halftime in the locker room that took place. So it's never ending. It's never ending. There'll be something tomorrow. I mean, I remember the championship game here when we played in '95 when Rebecca Lobo became Rebecca Lobo the last 15 minutes of the second half. Before that, I was constantly like, if she doesn't do something soon, we're going to lose. It can't just be. And she took over the game. And it took her that long to finally see the light. And when she saw it, so who knows? But that particular time was not a good time for me against Georgia Tech.
Question here in the front row.
Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philly Inquirer. Coaching against Dawn tomorrow, what's it going to be like for you personally, tactically, as it relates to their defense and Aliyah? And also knowing that both of you have never lost a championship game before. It's a lot more for you than her, obviously, but she's undefeated in finals too so far.
I don't think I've won one national championship, and I don't think Dawn's going to win any either. I think her team has a great chance to win a national championship. I think my team has a chance to win a national championship. But in terms of me personally or Dawn personally, I don't think either of us, at least I don't want to speak for Dawn, but I feel like once this game starts, once you get the tip-off, you kind of relinquish about 80% of the control to the players, and they now have the ability to win it or they don't. And you can coach the best game of your life and lose. You could make the most mistakes you've ever made coaching a game. Your team will find a way to win. So, I've been in this situation a lot against a lot of coaches, and I've taken the same approach with every single one. It's not about them. It's not about me. It's UConn versus South Carolina.
Question here, Gene.
Hey, Gene Wong, Washington Post. Dawn Staley was talking earlier about the impact Debbie Ryan had on her career as a player and coach. Just wondering what lessons do you recall taking away from Debbie when you were an assistant there? And what do you recall, if anything, about playing Virginia in that first national championship run?
Yeah. Well, you know, I had been coaching a lot as an assistant coach, obviously, and it was an opportunity that came out of nowhere. You know, it certainly wasn't something I was looking for. I was pretty happy doing what I was doing, and through our connections with Kathy Rush basketball camp in Philadelphia, somehow or another I ended up at an interview with them, and Debbie hired me, and it was my first experience. I had already coached at St. Joe's for a couple years with Jim Foster, but you know, UVA was a different story. You know, much bigger school, bigger everything, bigger expectations, just bigger in every way. So running a big program like that was something I had never experienced before. Recruiting at that level was something I had never experienced before. The organization that it takes to make that happen on a regular basis, was completely new to me. And you know, Debbie treated me like I treat, you know, my staff. You know, she told me, "There's your office, and make sure we win." So she gives you a lot of room to figure things out, and whatever impact you want to have, you can have. And I think, you know, we did some great things together, and as it so happened, you know, our first Final Four, we're playing Virginia, and I've said this before, the world does funny things to you, man, if you're around long enough, you know. But I think there were a lot of players, including Tanya Cardoza and Dawn Staley, two people obviously that I know, that Debbie had a tremendous effect on, and it's probably no surprise that they, you know, went into coaching.
Question here from Doug.
Gino, Doug Feinberg, the AP, two-parter. The first one is the clutch free throw shooting. I mean, the other night you guys think were 16 of 18, and the end of the third quarter all the way through the fourth. NC State, you obviously hit a bunch down the road. I remember you saying the other day, you know, I have kids that want the ball at the right time to make the free throws, including a freshman in AZ. So just what is it about late game situations that you guys seem to hit the free throws and you need them to? The second part is just, you mentioned the approach, you use the same approach for all these Final Four or championship games. No one else has gone 11-0 in any sport in the title games, maybe I think Michael Jordan, but what is this approach that seems to work every single time you've been in the spot?
I think for me, the approach that's worked the best is make sure you bring the best team. So I would venture to say that all 11 times that we've won, maybe there was one time, but I don't think we surprised anybody by winning, because we had the best team. We had the best team all year. We had, you know, we had the best talented players. We played harder than everybody. We were just better than everybody. The 10 times we lost, sometimes we had the best team and didn't win. Sometimes we didn't have the best team and didn't win. But one thing was for sure, every time we did win, we had the best team. And we played great that particular night. Can that happen again Monday night? I don't think when we got on the plane to come out here, anybody in America thought we were the best team coming out here. So that's probably not the case this year. But you don't have to be the best team for a long time. You just have to be the best team for 40 minutes, or play best for 40 minutes. As far as the free throw shooting is concerned, I'm as shocked as anybody that they're going in. Because all year long, we have not been a good free throw shooting team. And then there are times when we have been. And I think our free throw shooting is exactly like our team. When we're good, we're really, really good. Like when we're good, we're making every free throw, right? When we're not good, it's not fun to watch. So Monday night, hey, I hope it comes down to free throws. And then we take our chances. If we don't get a chance to shoot big free throws Monday night, that means we're in deep doo-doo, right? That means the game's already over.
Question here from Lindsay.
Hey, Gino, Lindsay Schnell, USA Today. You know, I was curious, you look around women's basketball, and a lot of the top programs, the top coaches, they're older. They're closer to retirement than not. You and Tara are both 68. Gary just stepped down. Vic is in his 60s. First of all, are you concerned that we have there's a drought, there's a pipeline drought? Like, where are the good young coaches? And what's going to happen when you eventually do retire? Do you feel good about your program and other programs? Are they going to be handed off to other people?
I do. I think a lot of times the better school you're at, the more resources, the more opportunities, the better coach you become. And if you don't, you get fired. So maybe all these old coaches that you're talking about, and you missed a couple of them too. I don't want to go into who they are. I don't want them mad at me, but you missed a couple of them.
There's a lot of senior citizens.
Yeah. There's a lot of experienced coaches out there, right? And maybe we've been so good for so long that we've overshadowed some of the good young coaches. And I think that's happened a little bit. But I do think there are a lot of really good young coaches that just haven't had the space yet to grow in. And I think you're starting to see, I think all those upsets that happened this year in the NCAA tournament, I don't know for sure, but that was a lot of young coaches coaching those teams that went on the road and beat good teams on the road. So they just need a little more time. You know, I'm sure athletic directors needed to be a little more patient. I think athletic directors a lot of times do a horrible job of hiring the right coaches for their school. They just look at somebody and look at their credentials and say, hey, yeah, that looks good, without really, really digging into deep, you know? So I think as that gets better and space becomes more available, you know, if I left UConn tomorrow, not some 60-year-old isn't going to get the job. You know, it's going to be a young coach who's really good, who really knows what they're doing, and is going to come in and hopefully keep us exactly where we are right now, if not better. And I think that's probably the case everywhere.
Next question right here.
Shannon Ryan, The Athletic. You've talked about the trials of this season, the difficulties you've gone through. I'm wondering, has this season tested you in new ways as a coach? And have you you've been here so many times, but have you learned some new things about yourself as a coach through this season?
Yeah. Maybe every coach goes through this at some point, but for the longest time, you know, I think what made us successful was I thought that I had the ability to bring any kid into my program and make them into exactly what I wanted them to be. And as each year's gone by, I've started to see the fallacy in that. Not that I've not still tried to do that, but I think this year more than any other year, I think it's hit me more than ever before that you really can't change people that don't want to change. And those that do, you're going to have a huge impact on them. You can't change the team that's in front of you. No matter how much you try, sometimes you just can't. And I used to get real frustrated at, why can't I change this? And because of circumstances, I think this year I've more times just thrown my hands up and said, it is what it is, and let's deal with it, and let's move on and see what happens. And hasn't made me any less neurotic or anything like that, or, paranoid about losing. I still have my assistants going, we're doing a lot of really good things. And I'm like, yeah, name one. Because I refuse to see the good things that we're doing. Because it's almost like I already know what they are. I always feel like my job as a coach is to only see the things that could help us lose. So if every single day I'm attacking those things that can help us lose, I don't have it in me to see the 10 things we're doing that are great, that are helping us win. All I care about is, if I don't fix these things, we're going to lose. That's a lousy way to live, too, man. Man, that's a lousy way to live. But it works for me. Wouldn't work for somebody else, I don't think.
Hi, Gino. I'm with the St. Paul paper, and I cover Lindsay Whalen's team. And she actually has brought you up a couple times when she talks about coaching. And I'm wondering about what you remember when she played for you on the national team.
I've gone on record, I think, of saying this. When I first saw Lindsay play, it was when she was a player at the U, and I remember praying that they would lose, because I knew that we would have to play them in the Final Four, and I knew that they were going to be really, really, really difficult, the way that team was put together. And she reminded me so much of Jen Rosati, the kid that I had coached. And I've always loved her competitive spirit. And she has a personality that's infectious to everybody else. She's a great leader because of that. She's an all-star, and she's a WNBA champion. And I asked her to come off the bench and be a role player for the Olympic team, and she did it about as well as it could ever be done by anybody, and did it twice without ever batting an eye. And to me, that's what champions do. They do exactly what's asked of them. She's one of my favorite people, and she's one of my favorite people that I've ever coached.
Question here from Don.
Don Memori from the Hartford Current. Gino, I want to ask you about Dawn, and particularly if you see some similarities in the way she's built her program from where it was to the way you built yours all those years ago. And if there's some things that you guys have in common that are uniquely Philadelphia, when you think Philly basketball, how do you see that maybe manifest in her? And then also, if you could comment on Swin Cash making the Hall of Fame afterward.
I think anybody who builds a program that can get to the Final Four and win a national championship and put themselves in the position to do that multiple times, has been able to do it by building a solid foundation, a solid base. And that starts usually in your staff, and she's had a great staff. Recruiting the type of kid that you want to coach, that wants to play for you. She's very, very demanding and very exact in what she wants and what she expects from her players. They play exceptionally hard defensively. Doing all those things then allows you to recruit, a team like they have right now. High school All-Americans who want to win a national championship. And once you do that, then you know, that train is going, and it's not going to stop as long as she's there. And the Philly part maybe is just the drive, you know, of, you know, Philly people are kind of, maybe it's because we were close to New York, you know, and we have this inferiority complex that we have to prove to everybody that we're smarter and tougher and better than everybody else. You know, I think all of us from that area carry that around. We know everything about everything. We're smarter than you are. We're tougher than you are. And whatever we don't know, it's because we don't want to know. And whatever you do know that we don't know, it's because you don't know anything about what we know. We rationalize all that shit, trust me. I said this before, right? Philadelphians, you know, they cheer their champions better than anybody, and they boo their champions better than anybody.
Question in the back row.
Hey, Gina Remy with the New York Times. Paige took a couple spills yesterday, and I wanted to see how she was doing. Are you concerned about her, at all about her going up against a defense like South Carolina? And also, how are you managing her rehab and playing time going into tomorrow's game?
First, I want to finish up with Dom. The committee voting Swin Cash into the Hall of Fame might have been the easiest vote they'll ever have in all of women's basketball history. I don't know anyone who's been, and they never saw her in high school, obviously. These voters never saw her in high school. I've never coached anybody who's been more relentless in pursuit of what she wants than Swin. And I don't mean just in basketball. I mean, this woman is a relentless human being, that when she sets her mind on getting something, she gets it. And I don't know that she, you know, said, I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. But I know that everything she's ever wanted, she's gotten it. And now she's got what she deserves. As far as Swin is concerned, I mean, Paige is concerned, yeah, she took a couple falls. But that's every game. People bang her around, you know, they knock her around. There were a couple plays yesterday, you know, that were just mind-boggling to watch. It's the part of the season right now where if I'm managing her time, that means I'm worried about the game we're going to play 9 months from now that's really meaningful, and she won't have enough time to recover between now and 9 months from now. So I'm not really interested in managing her time. You know, I'm interested in managing her performance. So as long as she's getting the things done that we need done, I'm going to leave her out there. If she's struggling a little bit with whatever, physically or her game, then I'm going to take her out. She's not going to play 40 minutes. How many, though? I don't know. Depends on the game. And she's going to have her hands full tomorrow. You know, we're playing probably the best defense in America.
Question right in front there.
Hey, Gino, Alexis Keeper from the State newspaper. Obviously, you know, you in South Carolina have played before. Just curious your thoughts on Aliyah Boston and kind of what the, without giving away too much, the game plan to, you know, try to contain her will be.
You know, I don't think it's a stretch to say that she might be the hardest person in America to guard. She scores if there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people on her, it doesn't matter. She's able to carve out the space she wants. She gets the ball on the rim whenever she wants. She rebounds whichever ball she goes after. She just has a knack. And I think when you can anchor your team with that, then, you know, you can go into every game as a coach pretty confident that you might not have other pieces working that day, but you got that piece working. And that's the most important. I think she's the most important person in the country in terms of what she does for her team. How do we guard her? I'm open for suggestions.
Question in the back.
Gino in front of you. Chantel Jennings from The Athletic. Nice to see you. I'm curious, and I'm guessing in your career you've been asked this question, but I've never asked you this. When you took over in 1985, was there something about Stores or UConn that you saw and thought, yeah, this is where I can build a foundation?
Yeah, it reminded me of how I grew up, and I don't mean in Norristown, Pennsylvania either. I mean in Italy. No sidewalks, stone walls, no heat, no electricity. I thought, wow, this is just like home. It was very, very, very rural, very out of the way, very parochial, very much an intramural program instead of a basketball program. The only thing I saw when I got up there was a really, really great group of people working there. That really was the first impression that I had. They have a great group of people working here. The other thing was this is an opportunity to be a head coach, and those don't come along very often. So my only objective going up there was, if I can take this team from last to the middle of the Big East, or fourth or third, or I'm going to give myself 4 years, and if I can't do it, I'm done. And if I do it, then I'm going to go coach at a place where we can win consistently. And, you know, things kind of happened, and we won the Big East championship my 4th year. And then I start having a family, and I've been stuck there all this time.
We have time for one final question here from Carl.
Carl Adamek, Journal Inquirer. Gino, two-part question. The 2 other Naismith Hall of Famers from UConn had their numbers retired, so will Swin have her number retired at some point? And the second part is, what has been the most impressive thing about Swin, do you feel, in the 20 years since she graduated?
Swin's pissed that we haven't retired her number already, in anticipation of making the Hall of Fame. That's Swin. I think I touched on it. Her teammates, whenever we talk, I started to call Swin Cash, INC, dot. She had her hands in so many things. She got involved in so many things. She's such a grinder at life. It's not even shocking that, you know, she's working in, you know, in the front office of an NBA team, and she probably wants to own an NBA team, or probably wants to own the WNBA. Who knows? But to me, her willingness to do whatever she needed to do to get what she wanted, and was a great teammate. I mean, if you can have those 2 things, have that kind of competitive greatness, which, I mean, she has that in, you know, in a supply that I've never seen before, how competitive she is. And she's competitive in basketball, and she's competitive in life. And I saw that in high school, and it's still there today. And she's somewhat humble, and I know very appreciative of it, of this announcement.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.